Good morning, everyone. I'm Andy Stone, the Service Safety Director for the City of Athens, and welcome to this groundbreaking event for the Armory Revitalization Project. We are thrilled to death to have you all here today. We have a number of esteemed speakers that you'll get to hear from in a moment, and the number of VIPs in the audience between our elected officials and our other officials that are present are too numerous to mention, so welcome all of you, and we are thrilled that you're here visiting with us today. If you all would rise for the presentation of the colors and the national anthem. Give a round of applause to the combined Athens County Veteran Organization Color Guard. As you all know, this building is a former Ohio National Guard armory, and as a National Guardsman myself, is a special place in my heart for all of the veterans here in Athens County who are excited about this event as much as we are. And you'll hear a little bit more about the facility and some of the things that we're going to do here to celebrate them. Before we get started with the speakers today, I'll describe the project that we're all here to celebrate today. And this is a project to revitalize the former Ohio National Guard Armory here in Athens and turn it into a state-of-the-art business share work and co-work facility to improve the economy here in Athens. A little bit of history on this building. It was purchased by this, well, it was built back in 1914, but it was purchased by the city after no longer being necessary for the Ohio National Guard's use in 1997, and the city has kept it and stewarded it over the ensuing really 25 years and tried to keep it in the condition that we could finally realize a revitalization project like this. Over the last several years, we worked at securing funding from a variety of sources, some of which you'll hear about today. That original purchase by the city with local funds was for $350,000 back in 1997, and in the ensuing years, the city has invested quite a bit more money, and we've pulled together with local funds about $1 million to go into this renovation project. As the idea came together and the ideas came together for the facility that we're going to create, we applied for state capital bill funding, and we were so fortunate to have our representatives champion this project, and back in summer of 2022 it was awarded $600,000 toward the overall project in the state capital bill. That portion specifically is to go into the Veterans Hall of Honor and the accessibility components that are necessary to make this a public building. We kept rolling in building our capital stack, and with the Appalachian Community Grants Program, the $500 million for Southeast Ohio that was introduced last year, Athens competed in the first round, the early implementation round, with 5 other projects in 4 other communities, with Athens as the lead applicant on a project called At Work in Appalachia. Those 5 projects are mutually supporting projects, and it was $17 million for all 5 projects, with Athens as the lead. This specific project is $2.4 million of that. So we were almost there to get about $4.5 to $5 million we need to revitalize this building. And the last part came in through Jobs Ohio and a Vibrant Community Grant Program to be the last in and the last mile to get us across the finish line. So we are absolutely ready to go. We've already started. You see the new windows on the facility, and you'll have a chance today, if you like, to look at the plans in the back for the building. The use of this building, when everything is said and done, it will be a co-work facility where folks who either are traveling through the area or folks who are from the area who need temporary office space can use this. We have a share work community in Athens already, and this will grow it under the leadership of an organization called Blue Dot Co-working, and you can hear a little bit more about them if you like after the ceremony and talk to them about how they're going to operate the building. Additionally, this space, the former drill floor, will function as a premier event space, medium-sized event space that folks can rent and use for a variety of different events. Also, this will be the permanent home to the Athens County Foundation. The Athens County Foundation is the primary philanthropic organization here in Athens County, stewarding resources that they can go and supply to folks that are looking to do great things in the county. They have a home right now above a bank in central Athens, but the challenge with that is that it's banker's hours, right? 4 o'clock, it closes, and anything they want to do after hours, they can't go and use that. So they've been looking for a permanent home, and this will ultimately be their permanent home for the great work they do. And also, we talked about the Veterans Hall of Honor. One of the things that was very important to Mayor Patterson as we got started on this project was that it be open to the public, so folks can come in and see some historical aspects of this building, and then also the attributes of veterans in Athens County. So with that, I will go ahead and start with our speakers for the day. Our first speaker is my boss, Mayor Steve Patterson. Mayor Steve Patterson is the full-time mayor of Athens, Ohio, and former associate professor of psychology at Ohio University for 18 years. Mayor Patterson served in the United States Air Force and in the District of Columbia Air National Guard for over 20 years in both the enlisted and commissioned ranks, and retired as a major. He is the president of the Mayor's Partnership for Progress, serves on the board of directors for the International Town Gown Association, National League of Cities, the Buckeye Hills Regional Council, the Athens County Economic Development Council. He's a member of the Ohio Mayor's Alliance, and he's co-chair of the National League of Cities Race Equity and Leadership Council. Finally, the mayor and his wife, Dr. Connie Patterson, are the proud parents of twin daughters, Adelia and Eleni. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor of the amazing city of Athens, Mayor Steve Patterson.
Thank you, Director Stone. You know, coming up here, I kind of hear George C. Scott as Patton walking up on the stage, and I'm not going to talk about using enemy guts to grease our tanks' tracks or anything like that. Welcome, everybody. Today really is a proud day for the city of Athens. We have some very distinguished guests with us today. Lieutenant Governor John Husted. It's amazing to have you here. Representative Jay Edwards, J.P. Nafsif, Director of Jobs Ohio. We have General Matt Woodruff, Brigadier General. General, thank you for being here in this hallowed ground building. And then Andrew Chickey, who's also on the forward stage. I also want to recognize some others that are in the audience. Since Athens County Foundation was mentioned, Carrie Pigman, could you just stand up real quick and be recognized from the Athens County Foundation, and her staff is back there as well. I'm looking over and seeing John Kerry from the Governor's Office of Appalachia. John, without your work in making sure that let's be real, we were building a plane while we were flying it with the Appalachian Communities Grant, but you saw and recognized the value of the At Work in Appalachia grant, and sir, I thank you for that. Also got to thank the governor. I mean, it was the governor that got behind $500 million to go to the Appalachian counties in the state of Ohio. And I have to say, with the governor and with the lieutenant governor, I think recognizing the need for continued vitality in the Appalachian region, that $500 million and what it will do. And to share a brief story, when we knew that this was coming at us with that particular grant, we saw more communities throughout all of Appalachia all of a sudden coalescing together for a change, and it really sparked a lot. The Mayor's Partnership for Progress, which represents 19 Appalachian counties, we certainly got on board and realized, okay, we need to have stronger ties and communications between each other. So the Appalachian Communities Grant did just that, and will continue to do just that. I also want to recognize our Athens City Council members who are here today, President Chris Knisely, who's with us. Also want to recognize the City Auditor, Kathy Hecht. Jesse Brenner is around here somewhere representing the Law Director's Office. Jesse is our Assistant Law Director for the City of Athens. Josh Thomas is here representing the Treasurer's Office in the City of Athens. And again, several, Sam Crowell, right. Would you do me a favor, City Council? Would you just stand up and be recognized for a minute? Also want to recognize Sunday Creek Horizons. Sunday Creek Horizons was beside us all the way in looking for funding at the capital stack that Director Stone just mentioned. They were there all the way. Also want to recognize an individual who is instrumental with Blue Dot. We have Ben Lockman and others representing Blue Dot who's here. Ben, thank you for all of your work that you put in to coordinate the design of this building. And I apologize, I'm sure I'm missing somebody else that's out there, but there's a rather large crowd here. Just briefly, I want to mention, when I became a city council, actually I was running for city council, and I would look at this building and think, this is really an amazing facility that the city owns, yet we don't really have a plan. And when I was running, there was an individual running against me for city council at large who said, I think we should just raise it and put a parking garage where the Armory is. And I'm going, no, never. I saw the value in this building, as did everyone who has lent their wisdom and their financial resources to the capital stack that has gone into this building, for seeing what it could truly be. And again, with the work that the governor and lieutenant governor have done to attract intel, we're seeing more Google coming in. We're seeing so many sectors coming into the state of Ohio, more than I think we've ever seen. And with that, and knowing that companies like Intel also have a remote working force, labor force that's there, the Armory is going to be such a home, because I'm biased, so I'm just going to call myself out, most beautiful part of the state, one of the most beautiful cities in the state. We're going to see a lot of people wanting to come down to Athens and work remotely, and this facility will provide just that resource. It has forever been obviously a Army Guard post, but it also has had a lot of civic engagement that takes place in this building. We've had things like rummage sales in this building when it was an active Armory unit. There have been boxing matches here. There have been dances in here. There are citizens that I speak to all the time who reminisce about the fact that there was dances in this building. So there's always been a civic engagement component to the Armory. That will happen again. That will happen again. So let me introduce the next person, the Honorable John Husted, Lieutenant Governor for the state of Ohio. Lieutenant Governor, I've got your whole bio here, if you're okay with it. You're saying strike it all?
Whatever you want to say.
What I will say, and I've engaged with Lieutenant Governor at a number of different conferences and gatherings, and I have to say, Lieutenant Governor has done an outstanding job of streamlining things, of bringing technology to the state of Ohio to where cost savings, to where you're not having to fill out a bunch of paperwork. 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month later, that paperwork is processed. He was the one who really saw the vision of electronically streamlining things, saving a lot of taxpayer dollars. So John, I appreciate your work in that venue, and again, being a part of the Appalachian Communities Grant process. The one thing I will not skip over, Lieutenant Governor, is the fact that you are a graduate of the University of Dayton, and more importantly, equally important, you are an All-American defensive back for the Dayton Flyers during their 1989 Division III National Championship football team. It is football season. The other thing, Lieutenant Governor, is just to recognize that of all the responsibilities the governor has, he also considers one of his most important roles is that of being a loving husband to his wife Tina, and father to Alex, Katie, and Kyle. Lieutenant Governor, thank you.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate the introduction. You said I was a national champion and All-American on the 1989 Dayton Flyers football team, and my good friend Jay Edwards leaned over to me and said, "That was before I was born." Thanks, Jay. Well, it's special to be here. I mean that. And I know that I came and toured this facility. When did we tour? It was a year, 2 years ago, with the mayor and Jay, Representative Edwards, and I heard the vision. But you know, as a lieutenant governor and somebody who's been around, I've heard lots of visions before, where people tell me that the community supports it and they're going to, put a plan together. And I want to congratulate the community for doing that, because oftentimes an aspiration does not get followed with the substance to get the job accomplished. And I know we're only at the beginning of that, but having the financing in place is usually as important as just about any part of a project. And so it's exciting. And I was talking to the young men who are part of the color guard back here, and they told me that they used to come to dances in this facility. And I asked them if they remembered any songs, and they said the Beach Boys, a lot of surfing music, right? And then they said the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Some things change, some things are still the same. You can still go see the Rolling Stones, right? But this is part of the history of the community. It's part of the history of our military and our National Guard and Ohio. And I want to say thank you to all of the active duty service members and the veterans who are here today. Give them a round of applause. We got a few of them in the room. But things like this don't happen without a team effort, okay? And the mayor referenced the $2 million that was part of the funding from the Appalachian Regional Grant Fund, Community Grant Program. And it's $500 million that Governor DeWine and I, and with support of the legislature, put in place for purposes just like this. But I just want to put this in perspective. That's why a growing economy is so important. That's why when something happens, whether that's an Intel project or things like that help grow because as we sit here today, we put this in perspective. Ohio has the lowest unemployment rate in our history and the most jobs in the history of Ohio, which means we have tax revenue, we have prosperity. And when you have that, you can set aside some of that surplus to reinvest in communities, and that's exactly where this money comes from. It's to reinvest that $500 million in communities with a vision. And I want to thank Mayor Patterson and Andy and Brigadier General Matt Woodruff and the whole community for what you've done and what you're inviting me to be part of today. And it's exciting. and a revitalization project. I think what you have in mind, it has great potential. I mean, you have the greatest asset in the modern economy in your community, young talent. That is one of the greatest assets you can have. And so to the extent that you can, well, offer them the ability and capture their talent here, find more ways to do that, the more prosperity that's going to create for this community. And that's what, in part, you have in mind. But I want to just say this. This is, I know the project is going to create 7 full-time jobs and 50 jobs in the not-for-profit financial and tech sectors, but I hope it will be a catalyst for more than that. To help be the source of where new ideas get started, new businesses get developed, new opportunities that spin out from that and stay right here in this community. And I know that just want to give you a little more perspective on the grant program, the $500 million that are targeted at these 32 Appalachian counties. During the first round of the grant, the city of Athens received a community grant of up to $17,647,641, to be correct, to revitalize 80,000 square feet of downtown space with some rehabilitation of 6 historic buildings in Coshocton, Logan, Somerset, and Athens. That's where that's where some of that money is being targeted. And that includes the Athens Armory, Coshocton Collaborative, Somerset Builders Club, Logan Theater, the Community Arts Center in Hocking Hills, Children's Museum in the Hocking Hills, and the Hocking Hills Chamber. And this $2 million, though, of that money that's being awarded for this building, I think is a super important part of the team effort that we're talking about here today. And that's what it takes. I've heard this, I say team, we started out with a football comment. Jay and I were talking about some football earlier. It's that season. I always call it teamwork. Other people call it collaboration, but the bottom line is those who collaborate best are the ones that win. You can be great as an individual, and you can do amazing things as an individual. But when you collaborate with others, when you have great teamwork with others, like the way that this vision first was laid out, and then you bring other partners in there to help finance it and make it happen, that's when big things can really occur, is when you bring people together, you have that teamwork. And I was here 2 years ago when you were beginning that process. I am thrilled on behalf of Governor DeWine, myself, and on our team to be here today for this occasion, which we mark a second round of progress. And I look forward to being back when it is fully operational and the vision and the dream comes alive, and we get to see the real growth that occurs as a result of this announcement today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Houston. So our next speaker is State Representative Jay Edwards. He's serving in his 4th term as state representative. He represents the 94th Ohio House District, which includes all of Athens, Meigs, and Morgan counties, and the southwest portion of Washington County. Representative Edwards is the chairman of the House Finance Committee, which is responsible for producing the state's main operating budget and capital budget. He also serves on the House Rules and Reference Committee. Representative Edwards was born and raised in Nelsonville and attended Ohio University on a football scholarship, receiving his degree in mathematics. He is a small business owner, a realtor, and a property investor. Recently, Representative Edwards began working in medical sales within the drug abuse and treatment market. With an understanding about addiction and health insurance, Representative Edwards knows that this is a critical issue for Ohio's 94th District. Representative Edwards resides in Nelsonville and is active within the community. Ladies and gentlemen, Representative Jay Edwards.
Good morning. It's great to be here in Athens. I don't have prepared remarks, so I'm just going to speak off the cuff for a minute. A couple things that I just want to do. I know Mayor did a great job putting this event together, but there are a couple things that I just want to mention because as I look out, I just recognize some people that didn't get recognized before. I believe we have representatives from Congressman Troy Balderson's office here, so we'll give them a round of applause. And our Athens County Auditor, Jill Davidson, not Jill Thompson, is here, so a round of applause for Jill. And one other thing that I like to mention, since I was giving the Lieutenant Governor a little heck about the year he played football and the year I was born, what hasn't been mentioned is, as much as we like the Lieutenant Governor, his wife is my favorite because she is a proud graduate of Ohio's first and finest, Ohio University. So we'll give her a round of applause. So what a great day. This is a lot of vision and a lot of people working together. And I got to tell you, I've been in office. Time has flown by. It's been 7 years, almost 7 years, 4 years now. And it's been frustrating to try to fight for our little corner of the state. It's been extremely frustrating sometimes to get people in Columbus to look our way. And I got to say, being there under two administrations, this administration under Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted absolutely knows where Appalachia is. They absolutely know where we're at in the map, and they want to see things change down here. And I want to give them a huge round of applause for all the work that they're doing. This $500 million grant program, absolutely. This doesn't happen without that $500 million, and just can't thank them enough for investing that and what that is meaning, not just to Athens, but really our entire region. When I look at this place, when I very first toured this place is just history. You know, I love history. We're within a stone's throw of the Southeastern Ohio History Center. I see Jessica here. Think about the people. Think about the kids that are sitting within 40 miles of this place here in this county whose parents, grandparents, great-grandparents have a story right here in this building. I've been out in Albany. I met a guy in Albany I think it was last year, who we were talking about the development of this project, and he told me that his youth basketball team at Shade used to practice in this facility. And I'm going to go out and venture to say they didn't shoot it from very far away because you wouldn't be able to get the ball there looking at some of these cinders up here. They didn't have much arc on their shot. But you think about that young group and the time that they're all still living. They're going to walk back in this facility and remember the times that they spent here. But even greater than that, think back to when this place was built. This sat on an area of aggregate mining, clay, bricks. People probably thought that those folks that went to lobby the state government, those business folks and local elected officials were nuts when they went to Columbus to try to advocate for building this facility. And it's not too far to venture the same thing happening now as what happened 111 years ago when they went on that venture. Mayor Patterson and local elected officials, Sunday Creek Horizons, going to Columbus to advocate for redoing this thing. And probably many people were naysayers. Many people thought they were nuts and didn't have a chance to get this done. But here we are today standing in this great facility, and I can't thank the mayor enough, his team, and really the Sunday Creek Horizons and all the people that have been associated. In a day and age where we're tearing down old buildings and destroying history, we now have history that's here to stay. I mean, the story that happened within these walls over the last 111 years will live on. And it's our duty to remember to tell our children, grandchildren, and people that are sitting in these schools around us the story of the history here in Athens County. So with that, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right, our next speaker is JP Nassif. He is President and Chief Executive Officer of Jobs Ohio. JP Nassif is a U.S. Air Force veteran, an entrepreneur, and since March of 2019, he has served as the President and Chief Executive Officer of Jobs Ohio, a uniquely structured private economic development corporation that gives Ohio a competitive advantage in driving job creation and new capital investment in the state. At Jobs Ohio, he leads a team of seasoned private sector executives drawn from 9 targeted industries, plus military and economic development specialists that are applying their collective expertise to attract, retain, and expand business and government installations statewide. Ladies and gentlemen, JP Nassif.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's a great day to be here in Athens. And to stay on the teamwork theme, this really was an incredible team effort. Every team cannot be effective without outstanding leadership. And Lieutenant Governor, I'd like to thank you and the governor and the great work you're doing with the legislature for providing a pro-economic development leadership platform. I also want to recognize our team members that are here. We have Christy and Hannah. I think Phil Greenberg is here, and our partners from Ohio Southeast. We're very grateful to be able to partner and team with all of you. Ohio is an interesting product. We're very unique amongst our Midwestern partners. Most of our Midwestern partners are dominated by one large metro area or one or two large industry sectors, where Ohio has multiple environments that are very attractive to industry and talent. We've got our 3 large metropolitan areas, the 3 Cs. We've got medium-sized cities like Dayton, where I'm from, Toledo, Athens, Akron, Canton, Youngstown. And we've got incredible hallmark communities. And when I started in 2019, the governor and lieutenant governor challenged me, even before I came on the job, to identify ways that Jobs Ohio could support all areas of Ohio and all groups in Ohio, so we could really set economic development across the state on fire, not relegate it to large companies or large metros. And the Vibrant Communities program came out of that challenge made by the governor and lieutenant governor. And it could be the coolest thing that we do at Jobs Ohio, because it's really centered around what I call our hallmark towns, but our smaller communities that are all across the great state of Ohio. And again, these are unique environments. Other states don't have the number of small communities that can still commute to a larger community or a larger opportunity. It is a unique product, and as we enter into a phase where we're in a fierce battle to retain, attract, and expand our talent pool, these communities are going to be a critical and important differentiator that's going to keep Ohio in a strong competitive position. And the Vibrant Community Program provides what we call a catalytic investment, a small investment that is just enough to attract other investment into an area. We've done 13 of these around the state, and they really are incredible. The amount of energy from the stakeholders that participate, the leadership we've had from the state government and from the legislature has allowed us to take something that is different and unique about Ohio and revitalize and rejuvenate them with a catalytic investment. But the true investment comes from the people that live here, the developers that have staked their businesses and their investment in these smaller communities. And they really are wonderful and attractive. And the next transformative step that's part of the Stimson Corridor includes not only this investment, but also other economic wins in the region, including JSW Steel, Pegasus Industries, American Hydraulic Services, who all created jobs in 2023 and all have invested together over $120 million of capital investment. So this is a really exciting program. Thanks to all of you who have participated and collaborated in bringing the vision to this point, and to all of you that will stay here, bring people here, keep your kids here, to bring these towns and these communities to the competitive advantage that Ohio has and has earned. Thank you all very much. Good luck.
This building is, after all, an armory, first and foremost. And the history of the Ohio National Guard throughout the state of Ohio is the reason why these buildings were built where they were. It's iconic here in Athens, overlooking our main street. And anyone who is familiar with the city knows when they go down Court Street, they run into the armory. So our next speaker is from the Ohio National Guard, and it's Brigadier General Matt S. Woodruff. He is the Assistant Adjutant General for Army for the Ohio National Guard. He began his military career in May of 1990 when he enlisted as a medical specialist in the U.S. Army Reserves. He received a commission as an infantry officer from Bowling Green State University, which we won't hold against him, in 1996. He is a graduate of the Infantry Officer Basic Course and the Combined Logistics Officer Advanced Course, Command and General Staff College, Advanced Operation Course, and the U.S. Army War College. His previous assignments include Chief of Staff of Ohio Army National Guard, and prior to that, he served as commander of the 37th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, as well as other numerous positions in the state of Ohio and positions in the active component. Of note, he served as the 37th Infantry Brigade Combat Team Current Operations Officer in Camp Span, Afghanistan. In a notable recent and extremely critical role, Matt served as the initial Joint Task Force Commander for Ohio National Guard's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, then finally as the Dual Status Commander for hospital response missions in COVID-19. He holds a Bachelor of Science from Bowling Green State University, a Master of Science from the Air Force Institute of Technology, and a Master of Strategic Studies from the U.S. Army War College. He is married to Lindsay of Lima, Ohio. She is a critical care nurse and former intelligence officer in the Ohio National Guard, and he has 3 children, Elijah, Grace, and Zane. Ladies and gentlemen, the Assistant Adjutant General for Army for the state of Ohio, and my friend, Brigadier General Matt Woodruff. What he didn't tell you is my wife, Lindsay, is an Ohio University grad. So I do have ties to this community. So on behalf of Major General John C. Harris, Jr., the Adjutant General, thank you for having us at this ceremony. What an honor to be in this armory 111 years after its inception. Lieutenant Governor Husted, Representative Edwards, JP, Mayor Patterson, thank you for having us, and thank you for putting the time and effort into revitalizing this critical resource for your community. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a history trip. So if you go back to the back table on the left, there's a little shadow box with the 37th Infantry Division mobilization from World War I. So our armories, when originally created, were meeting places, which is exactly what you're about to do at this facility. Soldiers enlisted in what we would have known as the militia and meet in armories like this one night a week, which then turned into a weekend drill for our current members to come together, to fellowship, to train, occasionally have a dance, and other opportunities like that. But the purpose of these facilities was community. When I took over as the Assistant Adjutant General, I pushed a motto to our force, which was people first, winning matters. If we can drive our formations to think about people initially, we'll win at whatever we do. So you converting this into an armory that embraces your community. I'm from a small town, much smaller than this. We had 3 stoplights in West Liberty, Ohio. So this is a big town to me growing up. The way that this community embraces the veterans that have walked through these halls. Think about that, 111 years of soldiers coming through this facility, whether it was infantry units, field artillery units, and finally air defense units, have walked through these halls. Very esteemed people that served in the European theater in World War I, the Pacific theater in World War II, are all going to be honored by your revitalization of this facility, of your embracing of community, of your looking toward the future. And I'm so thankful that you had a vision while you were running for city council to not demolish this and turning it into a parking garage, and to embrace the ability to take this facility and make it something the entire community can benefit from. For the National Guard, it honors us to see a beautiful facility like this revitalized. My recommendation, one of the first projects should be heat. Anybody else second? Any seconds on that? Okay. But what I'll say to you is I am extremely honored by the efforts that the leadership team took in doing this. And the Lieutenant Governor was absolutely right. The foundation to this is cohesive teams. When we come together as a team or a community, we can make anything happen. And I've committed our organization to owning our communities. And I don't say that in a way that you're all of a sudden going to see a lot of National Guardsmen in your town doing things. But what I've charged every unit is own your communities. So there is a community or a National Guard unit assigned to Athens. And at some point, you'll see them reaching out to you to ask, how can we help? It's about selflessness. It's about us giving to others. We join because we have a propensity to serve others.
So by owning that community, embracing you, becoming part of your team, one of your greatest advocates in the Ohio National Guard is Andy Stone, who lives in this community. He is truly the epitome of the citizen soldier, who balances a military career, a demanding civilian career, and family at home. That's what each and every one of our soldiers across the Ohio National Guard do. So thank you for having me here, and thank you for the efforts you're taking to make this a better place where people can come together. Thank you.
All right, our final speaker today, before we go to the official groundbreaking ceremony and wrap things up, is my Deputy Service Safety Director for the City of Athens, Andrew Chicky. And he's going to briefly describe to you the Veteran Hall of Honor concept and that component of this wider project that we'll incorporate into this revitalized building. In addition to his myriad of other duties for Athens, he is our unofficial city historian. And I would say amateur historian because he's not compensated for it, but there's nothing amateur about him. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Chicky.
These are some tough acts to follow here, I tell you. I just want to say for Mayor Patterson and Andy Stone, this isn't the only project that's going on right now. When they talk about doing things, and it's amazing to see, this is one of 3 projects, big projects that have gone on in the last few years. We built a new pool just a few years ago. We're building a new fire station right now. And with this Army revitalization, that's another cornerstone. We're seeing some really important big things happening all throughout the community, and it's in part largely to Mayor Patterson's leadership and Andy Stone, who tells me every day we're going to get stuff done, very directly sometimes. We've had the opportunity to hear about the many exciting things that this historic building will become, a little bit about what it once was. But preserving an old building is more than just commemorating interesting architecture, keeping the look and feel of a familiar place, or any of those types of things. When we preserve, restore, or rebuild historic buildings like the Armory, we're acknowledging that there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of people that lived and worked here and shaped what we see around us today. A building really is about the people and stories that are created. By having a new use and being in this space physically, we are remembering the people and stories that came before us, and we're actually adding a new chapter to that. One critical way that we're able to achieve this is through the establishment of an Athens Area Veterans Hall of Honor. As we were creating a vision of what a Veterans Hall of Honor could look like, it became clear that we did not want to just add a list of names to a wall or have a singular display that only shows a small snapshot, especially when there are so many stories just waiting to be told. Instead, we want to create opportunities for people to interact, learn, and appreciate the history of this building, as well as the stories of local veterans. We plan to do this in 2 distinct ways. The first is through having a series of 8 to 10 large display cases around the entry and lobby areas of the building. There's a small example of what one would look like on the back table there. That's a miniature version, much larger than that one, but it will show you kind of what we're talking about. 3 of the cases will be semi-permanent and will describe the history of the building, specifically show items that would have been used during different periods when the Armory was occupied by the Ohio National Guard. We'll honor the men and women that came directly through this building. To create these cases, we are partnering with historian for the Ohio Army National Guard, Sergeant First Class Joshua Mann, who, if you haven't had a chance to meet him, is just an amazing person. Just incredible wealth of knowledge. The Ohio Army National Guard is lucky to have him. We're also working with our local partner and fellow history buff, Cyrus Moore. Cyrus has done an incredible job writing a comprehensive history of the building and also has a personal connection, as his great-grandfather, Philip Schloss, was a member of Company L that was based at the Athens Armory. In fact, you can see Cyrus present on the Armory history on Thursday at noon at the Southeast Ohio History Center. Is that right? This Thursday, yeah. The rest of the displays are being coordinated with the expertise of the Southeast Ohio History Center to have curated exhibitions that will be changed out periodically. These displays will tell different stories regularly of the experiences, lives, and valor of veterans throughout the Athens area in Southeast Ohio. If you haven't seen the work of Jessica Siders and Tom O'Grady at the History Center, I'd highly encourage you to give them a visit. I think Jay said they're right around the corner. They are. They're like less than a block away. The second way we want to tell stories of this building and of local veterans is through a partnership with Brian Costco and Invisible Ground. Some may recognize Invisible Ground through the series of podcasts that were recently produced talking about local history. The Invisible Ground team has most notably received grant funding through the Ohio Humanities and Ohio History Connection, as they have been building on the stories of the area. Something maybe less known about Invisible Ground, but really impactful, is the development of immersive history markers through an augmented reality app. Basically meaning, Brian uses images that are 50, 100 years or more old and creates a way to stand in a specific location and through opening the app, see how a place would have appeared based on where you are standing. There are currently examples at the Barry Hotel on Court Street. There's a shiny diner. If you stand across the street and open the app, you can see what that block looked like 100 years ago. It's so cool. And also at Mount Zion Baptist Church, just 2 doors down, and at the Athens County Courthouse. We plan to add markers at the Armory for people to be able to see what this building would have looked like going back to when it was first built, both outside and more aspirationally, what it may have looked like inside at its inception. So before you leave today, be sure to have a look around the building. Imagine what it would have looked like a century ago and how impressive it is that we're giving it a new outlook to serve our community for another 100 years. As an aside, not related to that, but I would be remiss not to mention that we are missing a key component of the team here this morning. Paul Logue, our city planner, passed away in July, and he is a cornerstone and key to getting all this off the ground. His vision goes back to even when he first came in, and seeing this today, I'm sure he's looking down on us and is so pleased to see this developing. And if we could just take a moment and acknowledge Paul and give him a round of applause for the work that he did. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Okay, so we're done with the speakers. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this ceremony up. So prior to doing the official groundbreaking, I'll describe what's going to happen afterwards. So the official groundbreaking will be the end, and you don't have to stay in your seats anymore after that. In the back of the room, we've got 3 tables set up in addition to the snacks, which I certainly hope you all avail themselves of, so that we don't have to take them back anywhere. One table is Blue Dot Co-working, and Ben Lockman and others from Blue Dot can talk to you about how they are going to run the ShareWork Co-work facility and operate this building. Carrie Pigman and her team from the Athens County Foundation will talk about the work that they do here, that as they move and their permanent offices are here. So please take a minute and talk to them about that work. And lastly, Colin Widows, who is the architect of record for this and has been really doing a tremendous amount of work over the last year to get this shovel ready and ultimately to bid a construction project. Has 3D renderings on a screen back there where you can actually walk through the building and see what the revitalization is going to look like. Before we go to the final groundbreaking, I do want to mention for our speakers today, we have a small gift for each of you. If you could please have your staff or staff members for the speakers come up and grab one of these for them to take away. It's just a commemorative small, what would you call this? Version of the Armory that notes that the Athens Armory Revitalization groundbreaking ceremony happened here on October 16th, 2023. All right, so for those of you who are going to take pictures, members of the press, or others who are going to take pictures at this time, I would invite you to come to the stage left, this front area, to look at this location of the 5 cinder blocks. Now, this project doesn't involve actually breaking ground, right? Because it's a building renovation. So we didn't have shovels to dig in the ground because we thought that wouldn't make any sense since we're not going to do any of that work. Instead, there's some minor demolition that will take place with some of the old masonry prior to installation of the new facility. So our groundbreaking is actually a brick breaking. Now, I would ask all of you not to just absolutely crush it because we'll have pieces of cinder block going into people's eyes and everywhere else. But if the 5 of our speakers would go ahead and stand over here, perhaps the Lieutenant Governor could stand in the middle, flanked by JP and Jay, and then have the Mayor and General Woodruff on the ends. You have a golden sledgehammer. It's not real gold. But, and like I said, it doesn't really have to break unless you want to. So, and when everybody is ready, I think I'll give you a 1, 2, 3, and you'll strike the brick. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey!
This is a wonderful building, but it was built in 1914, so it's dated. It's not equipped for modern uses. It needs a lot of updates. And so what we put forward is $2 million from the state of Ohio, another nearly $1 million from Jobs Ohio to help with the revitalization of this facility so that it can be used for more modern purposes. And some of that will be for locating young entrepreneurs right here in a remote workspace in this facility, but it will also be a community center. But in addition to that, also honoring the heritage that this building played in our nation's national defense. There's a $500 million we've set aside for the 32 Appalachian counties that this monies like this will go toward. We've already done some of those things in Hocking County and several places around the Athens area, but this $2 million is focused on this building. There will be $500 million deployed for projects like this all across those 32 Appalachian counties. We want to upgrade it for modern uses. That means including the ability to adapt the technologies that you need to use, updating. It's got old bones. It's got good bones, but they're old bones, and they just have to be updated. Everything from electrical, plumbing, all of those kinds of things. It will modernize it so that this will be a great asset for the people of this community for the next 100 years.